That's right. I know. I was in Marseille. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
can
exactly.
you be on your mark, please?
Oh, me. Sorry. What time do you think for Clarice at Cape Horn?
I don't know. In the in the afternoon, end of the afternoon.
No, I'm just asking. Very good afternoon. Welcome back to Les Sables d'Olonne. It's 2:30 here, local time, 13:30 UTC. We're with our daily live show in English for the Vendée Globe. Day 51, well, it is, of course, the last show of 2024. We have a new leader on the racetrack since yesterday evening. Charlie Dallan just wriggling past Johan Richomme and with a small lead today. They're still in the light stuff. It's, as Dallan described, the Brazilian doldrums. What does it look like? Well, this was the two of them earlier on today.
Bon, petit lever du jour dans ce front. C'est pas très joli au classement, hein, mais bon, c'est compliqué. Hein. Ça avance pas, mer d'huile. Bon, c'est un peu la loterie, quoi. C'est comme ça fait partie du jeu. Il y en aura d'autres, il y aura le poteau noir, il y aura encore d'autres transitions. C'est beau en tout cas, joli lever de soleil.
Franchement, les fichiers là, ça veut rien dire de rien du tout. Il y en a dans tous les sens. Bon. On fait comme on peut. Ce qui est cool, c'est que au dernier classement, on a repris la tête. Mais bon, vu la tête des grains et des alentours, c'est possible qu'on s'échange la première place comme ça plusieurs fois. Mais en tout cas, c'est cool. Ça fait longtemps que j'avais pas été en tête. Et ça, c'est top.
So still light conditions, relatively slow going just now for the two leaders. The other news just now, well, Yannick Besteven got into Ashuya yesterday evening. He's with his technical team trying to see what he can do to repair the boat. You see, he hopefully wants to continue on the course but out of the race to get back to Les Sables d'Olonne on his own. Otherwise, three boats coming into Cape Horn. They should have good conditions and should be in later on tomorrow. That's Clarice Kramer, Benjamin Dutroux and Sam Davis not too far behind. So my guest today, well, a special cameo from Christian Dumard, our weather consultant's with us on the plateau. He's going to have a little bit of a fight with our favourite tactile screen. So he's going to do that in just a few seconds. But in the meantime, we have our guests with us in Marie-Galante, I think, in Guadeloupe. We have Charline Picon, who's France's most medalled sailor. I think 3 medals, gold in Rio, silver in Tokyo, and bronze in Marseille, twice in the windsurfer, and then moving to the 49er FX. So, Charline, how are you? It looks tough in Marie-Galante.
Yeah, good. Thanks. I am in the Caribbean, close to Guadeloupe, in Marie-Galante. So after crossing the Atlantic, it's a good thing to enjoy a bit.
Just briefly, how was your passage across the Atlantic?
Yeah, after the game, I decided to make a big adventure on a catamaran with my husband and my kids. So we crossed end of November and we passed 12 days on the Atlantic crossing. and it was a big adventure for me because I only make windsurf for 49er before, so a lot of things to learn.
We'll come back to you in a few seconds. We have Justine Metro, I think, joining us live. Justine, how are you this afternoon?
Yes, hi Andy. Yeah, I'm fine. All good here. Yes, sailing upwind in 25 knots. It's not the nicest, but that's what we have today.
What about your option? You went to the west of the Falklands. Did that pay off for you?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
I'm just saying about your option to the west. Justine, how did that work out for you, going to the west of the Falklands?
I've been to the east of the Falklands as well, with like the rest of the group. But as I was a bit behind them, I tacked a bit earlier. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. For the moment, it's hard to make a long-term plan with the forecast. So I think for the moment, kind of all of us, we decided just to stay where there is wind for sure, and we'll see, yeah, forecast after forecast how it goes and what the plan really is.
And how is your boat suited to these upwind conditions compared to the other boats round about you?
I mean, it's not too bad. Well, if there is enough wind, I can reach normally the kind of the same speed or maybe just a bit less. But, with the new foils we added this year, it really improved the performance of this angle, so it's not too bad.
And what are your plans for New Year? Do you plan to make resolutions and celebrate New Year, or are you too busy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have big plans for this evening because it's not the nicest conditions to move around the boat, and so we'll see. Maybe the New Year celebrations will begin a bit, but yeah, no big plans. Just some good food and yeah, we'll see how it goes. But we're not sailing in 25 knots in waves. It's not the nicest conditions to celebrate.
We have Charlene Picon, who would like to say hello to you. She's in Guadeloupe. Charlene, say hello.
Hello, Justine. A bit impressed because I make my first crossing with the catamaran about the Atlantic, and I can imagine what you live alone on a big boat with a big of swell, big winds. Big respect for you, and enjoy the end of the adventure.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I heard about your crossing just before, so yeah, that sounds good. It's a first practice, and then you can keep on going more offshore. But yeah, for sure, our boats, they're not that easy and so on. But it's just it's like everything. It's like dinghy sailing. It's just all about learning, training, and then you're getting more and more comfortable with it, and then it just seems normal. So you can still think about it if you're interested.
So, Justine, what's ahead for weather for you? Any more options to catch up the boats in front?
Yeah, we'll see. At the moment, I think with the uncertainty of the forecast, it's a bit hard to make plans, or making options would mean taking a lot of risks, which I'm not sure I'm ready to do. So yeah, we'll see. I think for the moment, it's a bit more about when it's uncertain, it's about being patient, staying with what you're sure is getting to happen, and sometimes you just have to wait for the next forecast to get a bit more accurate info. So I'm a bit in this mindset for the moment. But I mean, there is still a lot of miles ahead of us, still like 6,000 miles, which are like two transatlantics, and so we know so much can happen in that amount of miles and time. So yeah, for the moment I'm trying to focus on keeping my boat fine, trying to go on the good place, trying to stay fast, and we'll see what happens in the coming days.
Okay, Justine, a pleasure as always. So much respect from all around the world for your race. You're doing a fantastic job, and keep it up, and we'll see you in a few days.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andy, and yeah, Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year to you. So, Charlene, your thoughts on Justine's race? She's doing such a fantastic job in 10th place.
Yeah, it's impressive. These boats are so fast. To be alone on this kind of machine, it's yeah. A lot of, like I said, a lot of respect, because before making my my trip, I think I didn't realize what to be on a big boat and what they are living. And no, I can imagine a bit better, but because it's not the same boat, of course. But I had some fears sometimes with the speed of the squalls on the Atlantic, making the wind blowing strong, and you have to adjust the sails, everything. So yes, just a lot of respect, and I'm ready to go to test it with one pro sailor for sure, and I would love to go on this machine.
Well, you never know. Tell me about the Vendée Globe. I mean, you've obviously followed it for many years. It's a big thing for you in your life.
About the Vendée Globe? Can you repeat the question, please?
I'm just asking you, is it a race you've followed for most of your life, or are you relatively new to it?
No, it's for sure. When you are French, you can't miss the Vendée Globe, the start, and sometimes you check the results and everything for sure, because it's a big race for the French, and so I think this year it's a bit different for me because of my adventure. I realize more, and it's more. I want to know what they are doing on the boat, what is different. Yeah, it's nice to follow them for sure. And of course, I am from La Rochelle, and there is Violette d'Orange from La Rochelle also. She's the younger sailor of the Vendée Globe, and I know the family, so it's nice to see this this young girl making a very good TAF for the first time. Yeah, very nice.
And you have Paul Mea, who's an ex-Olympic sailor as well. Presumably you know him quite well from Olympic sailing.
Yeah, a lot of I know. I had this morning Paul Meyer on Biotherm that he was doing 49ers before making IMOCA. So it's nice to see that some guys from the Olympics can go to the offshore sailing.
Now then, some of our skippers, or quite a number of our skippers, grew up on board boats. I'm just wondering, you obviously have your kids. How would you feel if they wanted to grow up and do the Vendée Globe?
For sure, I will be happy, because I think she lived very great moment for this year with the catamaran, and she said that I show her like Violette or some video of the girls, and she said to me, I will do that. For sure, like a mom at the beginning, it's a bit you can feel a bit of fears, because you know that there is zero risk. But if she had big dreams, for sure I will follow. And I will help that. I will help for that she can reach the dreams.
You'd prefer her to go Olympic sailing, though, I guess.
I don't know. I don't want to. I would like she can choose what she like, and she had big dreams. And if she had big dreams, whatever it's Olympic sailing or or offshore sailing or swimming, or I don't care. It could be swimming, athleticism, what she wants. I will follow to help her to achieve the big goals.
Absolutely. Now, Charlene, stay with us just a minute. We're going to look at Yannick Bestaven, who went into Ushuaia. We'll be back to you in just a few seconds. So this is Yannick Bestaven, who arrived in Ushuaia, and he's connecting with his team. And some pretty tough moments for him, all in all. Just reflecting, this is Yannick.
Je rêvais d'y venir, mais j'avais pas prévu d'y venir pendant le Vendée Globe, ça c'est sûr. Je suis plutôt fatigué parce qu'on a quand même beaucoup tiré dans la fin du Pacifique là. Et le fait d'annoncer mon abandon, de me retrouver dans une zone avec pas de vent ou moteur, toute la pression qui redescend, ça a été un peu difficile, quoi. Le problème des safrans, de la barre, c'est fait depuis les Açores que je suis embêté. Et j'ai fait quand même les 3/4 du tour ou les 2/3 du tour avec ce problème-là qui a fait que s'amplifier. Je pense que c'est pour ça d'ailleurs que la mèche centrale a cassé. Si je m'arrête, c'est surtout parce que techniquement, je sens qu'il y a peut-être un problème de sécurité pour le bateau, quoi. Et puis pour moi avec. Et puis je pense qu'il ne faut pas s'obstiner quand il y a des soucis comme ça, parce que naviguer en bon marin aussi, ça veut dire prendre les bonnes décisions. Et les bonnes décisions, c'est celles qui font qu'il n'y aura pas des secours qui viendront nous chercher en mer. Maintenant je suis là, la course est terminée. L'idée c'est de réparer le bateau, de comprendre aussi déjà pourquoi les différentes pièces structurelles ont cassé. Et puis voir quel est le plan, la réparation. Est-ce que ça peut être rapide pour que je puisse repartir vers les sables d'Olonne le plus tôt possible et le mieux possible, même si je suis hors course.
So Yannick Bestaven reflecting there in Ushuaia. Now, Charlene, we have one of our guests today is Eric Blondeau, who is Yannick Bestaven's mental coach. You were a big fan, a big user of mental coaches in your Olympic racing days.
Yeah, I worked 2 years with Eric Blondeau, so I know him, and thanks for the works we make with Sarah, my skipper from the FX. Yeah, mental health is very important, and about self-knowledge for the first thing is I think the best things, because you know how you react and what could be better, and for sure it could be for the Olympic races, but also in your life in general. And when I switched from windsurf to the 49ers, the big difference was we are two on the same boat, so the communication is very, very important. And we work a lot about this, because sometimes you said something with your vision, but the other people can heard something else because of his life and his story. So we learn a lot with Sarah to understand the other, why she react like this, why I react like this, and how we can be better about communication and to be a team.
That's interesting. Now, are you missing Olympic sailing? Are you glad it's done?
I miss it for sure, but I think it was my fifth Olympic preparation. So with my project about 1 year without Olympic sailing, because I need to recover mentally and physically. It was more than 20 years that I run about Olympic medal. So it's a good thing for me to take 1 year to think about what I did and what I want to do. Maybe next year, if I have an IQ phone on board, that's a fair direction to test it. And I wait also to see if the weight is decreasing, because for sure with the big sails I wasn't on the good weight. So I didn't say stop to the Olympic sailing, but I didn't say yes to. So I need this year to reflect and to know what I want to do, if I want to go on pro sailing like America's Cup or offshore sailing, or to continue for Los Angeles. I don't know yet, and I will take the time.
Well, you say take the time to make the right choice and enjoy. In the meantime, enjoy Guadeloupe, enjoy your cruise, and a very good New Year to you and your family. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy the celebration.
We'll do our best. So there we go, Charlene Picon in Guadeloupe. Now then, as I say, one of our guests today is Eric Blondeau, who was Charlene's mental coach and is with Yannick Bestaven. He was on the last race, which obviously contributed to his win. And we caught up with Eric, who is in New Zealand. He is working with a rugby team there, and he's on holiday. And obviously, it's a pre-record. And this is Eric. So we're with Eric Blondeau, who's the mental coach for Yannick Bestaven, who of course won the last edition of the Vendée Globe, but is in a very delicate situation. Eric, how are you? How do you support Yannick in this situation just now?
Good morning, Andy. Actually, I'm just allowed to support him because, as you know, I have no right to talk to him during the race, and I can only talk to him since he decided to abandon. So when he took his decision, he rang me and we spoke about the consequence of this, but also mostly about the cause of the abandon, which was mainly due not to Yannick, but to the boat, who was a bit damaged. We had the problem with two sails. We had the problem with, he lost one teeth, actually. That's the only thing which belongs to him. The ship could not be maneuvered anymore, so it was very complicated. Yannick took a very, very good decision. Was not obstinated. He was very determined, and thanks to his humility and his diligence, took the right decision to stop, repair, and then start again if the repairs can be done in Ushuaia.
So, but obviously he's out of the race. How do you support him now? What's the process for dealing with this disappointment?
Disappointment comes from expectation, and as you know, as I said, I was not allowed to talk to him. So we prepared 50 audio, 50 podcasts to handle all the surprises during the race. And that's why Yannick was so mature during this race, and he was not excited at all. He was not down at all, and he was very conscious of what happened. So now. The surprise is that is coincide to the level of risk, which could not be taken anymore to go further. He wanted to pass the Cap Horn, which was very important for the race, to pass the 3 caps, but then to take the decision. So we change. If you change the vision, you change the behavior. And what we did, we actually decided what would be the behavior. But we discussed this before the race anyway. I mean, if you had to abandon, how can you restructure the frame of your objective? Because he's a very competitive person, and giving up in Argentina, wherever he would have to abandon, I mean, would not be satisfying for him. So since he's a very competitive person, I mean, he wants to finish on his own. He doesn't want any help. I mean, once it's being repaired, and he wants to be to finish the race. So we work on the disillusion. If you have a disillusion, it's because you had an illusion, and the illusion was to finish the race, but you know that you are 100% responsible, or 50% of the relationship with the boat, and he was very responsible as a captain, but he can't control. I mean, what happened in such tough environment, and as you know, in the Pacific, it was destroying sea. And he lost 2 sails in the sea, and he had an accident. I mean, even he hurt himself. So. He was prepared to abandon. It's not something. It's not a plan A, of course, but it's a plan B. And as a big competitor, I mean, he was prepared to handle this one. So we discussed 45 minutes yesterday when he decided this, when he took the decision, and he's now building up a new project to hand over. I mean, to finish the race.
Tell me how you worked before the start of the race, when you could work with him. What did you learn from the last race when he won?
Interesting. We prepared before the start. I took my 72 pages of notes of the former Vendée Globe. we got a map, and we discuss every single point. We debrief on every single point on what happened and what could have happened and what will happen potentially. And we discuss because the concept is to lower the level of surprise, because behind every surprise you got fear.
Eric, I could talk to you all day, but let me just take a short break because we're going to go to the weather with Christian Dumard. Christian.
Good afternoon. So we have the leading boats, the two leading boats here in what we call the Nord front, which is somewhere around here. We have little low pressure systems building up in this front, and so there are very light and fluctuating winds right now. For Sébastien, who is about 300 miles from them, the wind is a little more stable, but it's going to be very unstable also for the coming day. In the south, we have the second group with a high pressure, system around here, and a low pressure system around here. So the boats are beating upwind here in about 25 knots of wind, quite strong winds upwind, which is not very comfortable, as we've seen with Justine. And here at the bottom, we see the two boats, Clarisse and Benjamin. We're going to round Cape Horn tomorrow afternoon. The wind is pretty light in front of them, and so Samantha Davis is going to go probably faster than they will and catch them up, and all the three boats should be quite close when they round Cape Horn. If we look at the animation, we see the little low pressure system here. So there is a little low pressure system here building up. And the goal for the boats will be to go in the north, and then they're going to tack in the St. Helena high pressure system here. And we see the rest of the fleet beating upwind in quite strong winds. And they'll try to stay in this wind corridors as long as possible before the low pressure here moves east. For the second part of the fleet, we have a front approaching Cape Horn. So that's the front. Samantha Davis is sailing in this front quite fast now, and she's faster than the two boats just ahead of her, and so she should catch them up. Around Point Nemo here, we have a high-pressure system, and the boats are sailing in pretty nice conditions. Westerly winds, light winds, flat seas, very unusual for this part of the Pacific Ocean, but nice conditions, even though it's quite cold now. Ahead of this group, in between the two groups, conditions are little rougher, maybe 25 knots of wind, 4 meters of sea, but downwind, and so all the fleet should be approaching Cape Horn in good conditions now.
Interesting weather situation today. Thank you, Christian. Going back to Eric Blondeau in New Zealand. Eric, how do you think this will affect Yannick in the long term? This was going to be his last solo race.
It was and it is his last solo race, so it won't affect him on that matter. He will not do it again. I mean, he made a very firm commitment to all of us that it was his last one as a solo. But what is very important is what type of image will he leave on this last race. So we worked on this one. I mean, how do you want people to remember you in your last solo race? I mean, he ran 3 Vendée Globe, he had two accidents, and he won the third one. So it's a very big result. I mean, it shows that he's not very weak on that one. So the future, I mean, it doesn't belong to me to talk about this. I mean, obviously, he wants to accompany a sailor, young sailor in 4 years from now. So it's a discussion which you will have as an entrepreneur, because Yannick has plenty of personage. He's a father, he's a husband, he's a sailor, he's an entrepreneur. I mean, he's a very good friend. So you will have to talk. What is very important is the debrief, which we will do with the team. So we registered, I follow all the SMS. I could not talk, but I could read, actually. So I follow all the SMS, and we worked on the debrief. And we are already prepared to debrief every single day and to analyze what was important, because his experience will be extremely vital for the young sailor whom we will accompany in the next Vendée Globe. And that's one of his projects. And he has also other projects around the world, but it's up to him to talk about this.
Indeed. Now, I don't want to get us into trouble, but tell me what you think of the rule, whereas in the last edition, you're allowed to talk to the skippers. This edition, you're not allowed to talk to the skipper directly. Is that a good thing in your view?
That's a tough call. I wonder why people actually put the rules, because I know some skippers actually said that it was a kind of assistance, which I don't think it's a kind of assistance, because his mother could talk to him a lot. I mean, his wife can talk to him, his friends can talk to him. And as a friend, I could talk to him, but I refused this. I mean, I was very silent on this one. In an Anglo-Saxon world, and I work a lot with Anglo-Saxon, particularly, in other sports. I mean, we search for the maximum of excellence and support. So in a French environment, I think there might be some jealousy, or I don't know, people don't understand, but what I call mental performance, mental skills in an Anglo-Saxon environment is pushed to its maximum. And I wonder why we don't accept this to actually enhance the possibility and the performance of all the sailors in the world. And they still have to decide. We can't help them. I would be dangerous if I had to talk to him about strategy. I would be, it would be a lethal instrument if I had to tell him what he should do. But if I can help him when he was down, if I could have helped him, I would have loved this. It wouldn't have changed all the damage on the boat. But helping those people, I think it's important. They wear a helmet. Why don't they wear us around?
Completely. I agree with you, because at the end of the day, distill it down, you come down to mental health at some point. Where, you can have a situation where a skipper is very, very down.
Yeah, and maybe it doesn't last very long. It's few seconds just to reconnect it to the story. What's the point to have people suffering mentally? I don't see the point. As an Anglo-Saxon, how important, the mental skills are. I'm in New Zealand to work with a rugby group. And mental skills is as important as strategy, physical, diets, and all these kind of things. But I think we are a little bit beyond we are behind actually still in France on that matter.
Just going back to the skills on the race course, talk to us about the situation when the skippers are very tired and have to make decisions. How do they enhance that decision-making process and make sure they're lucid?
Yeah, lucidity and discernment are the top level of intelligence. So it means if you don't have access to lucidity and discernment, you use your automatism. And obviously an automatism is based on the past. It's not something which is to adapt to the current situation. And none of the sailors have actually faced the current situation they are actually facing at this very minute. So if you are tired, you don't have access to your lucidity, intelligence to adapt. And we are in a very complex environment when we are sailing, because we don't control the wind, we don't control the sea, we don't control the waves, we don't control anything at all. We can just adapt permanently. So tiredness is something which they all worked. All these sailors, are absolutely fantastic people, because they're going to have to face tiredness. And at one stage, if you lose your lucidity, you will lose on performance. So the strongest one are the one with humility, who accept the tiredness and accept to put their alarm and go to sleep, feed themselves, clean themselves, wash themselves, change their habits. They have to be at their maximum every day in order to adapt to the situation and have their brain ready to find a decent situation to whatever they are facing. And if they are too tired, obviously they go back to their automatism, and it's a degraded situation. And at that level, at the speed, at 20 knots per hour per mile, it's lethal. And a lot of them would be injured because they actually lost their lucidity.
Eric, I could talk to you all day. We could make a full documentary on this. But thanks so much for joining us. In the meantime, rugby, who's the strongest team mentally in the Six Nations this year?
I'll tell you when it's finished.
Good answer. Anyway, Eric, enjoy New Zealand. Very jealous of you, but thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Ali. Bye-bye.
So there we go, Eric Blondeau in New Zealand, working with the Auckland rugby team. Used to be the mental coach for the Scottish team, so he's a good guy in my eyes. Little bonus for you today. We're running late, so we've got the 3 o'clock ranking, but that does show us that at the top of the table, Charlie Dallin is 35 miles ahead of Johan Richomme. Sebastian Simon really nicely insulated. He has got a lead of 1,000 miles or 1,040 miles ahead of Thomas Riong. Meantime, in the little group behind, Nico Lundven now on top, ahead of Paul Mea, Jeremy Bayu, Sam Goodchild. But the mileages, the differences between them are absolutely tiny. Just 11 miles between Lundven and Mea. Mea is 4 miles ahead of Jeremy Bayu, and Sam Goodchild is just 15 miles or so ahead of Boris Herrmann. Justine Metro in 10th. She is 70-odd miles behind Boris and catching potentially. Meantime, Sam Davis in 13th. Moving down the table, Alan Rura up to 17th, Isabel Joschke. So Alan is past Isabel, obviously, who has her problems. He's up to 17th. Then further down the table for our international, Kojiro Shiraishi in 27th, Conrad Coleman in 28th. Oliver here in 30th, Jinkun Chu in 32nd, all in good conditions, as indeed is Danny van Veenberg in 35th, as ever, sailing steadily and enjoying his race. So that's our rankings. That's the end of our show for today. Join us tomorrow. We'll have our guests will be Tracy Edwards and Heather Thomas from the Maiden Project, hopefully in advance of Sam Davis going round Cape Horn. So join us then, same time tomorrow, here in Les Sables d'Olonne for the 10th Vendée Globe.
Everyone has had a good 2024. Have a happy new year this evening, and update you next year. See ya.